If you've ever thought about learning to code, you've probably run into the most confusing beginner question in all of tech. What programming language should I even start with? There are roughly 50 of them, and everyone online has a very strong, very committed opinion. One person says Python, another says JavaScript, and then there's a third person, hoodie on, room dark, who just says, quietly, Rust. So in this video, I'm breaking down 10 of the most popular programming languages, what they're used for, what makes each one valuable, and what makes each one frustrating. And most importantly, which one you should learn, depending on what you want to build. Some are excellent starting points. Others feel like they were designed to test your patience. Let's go through them. 1. Python is the universal starting recommendation, and the reputation is well earned. It's easy to read, easy to write, and structured in a way that's surprisingly close to plain English. No excessive symbols, no confusing syntax. Clean, readable code that almost makes sense the first time you see it. That means beginners spend less time fighting the language itself and more time learning how programming actually works. Python dominates in artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, automation, and back-end web development. If someone says they're getting into AI, there's a 90% chance they're learning Python. The downside, because Python handles so much for you, some people use it for years without understanding what's happening underneath. But if you want the safest, most supported first language available, Python is the default answer for a reason. 2. JavaScript runs the internet. Every time you click a button on a website and something happens, JavaScript is almost certainly behind it. It powers websites, web applications, interactive interfaces, and over the last decade, it expanded into back-end development as well. If your goal is web development, JavaScript is not optional. It's everywhere. Developers appreciate it because it's versatile. One language capable of handling both the visual layer of a website and the logic running beneath it. The criticism is that JavaScript has a long history of behaving in ways that defy straightforward logic. At some point, every JavaScript developer encounters something that stops them mid-thought. You stare at the screen, read the output again, and just carry on. That said, web development remains one of the highest demand skills in the industry. JavaScript is one of the most valuable things you can learn. 3. Java is the language people joke about, and also the language quietly powering a significant portion of the world's financial infrastructure. It's been around since the 1990s. Banks use it, hospitals use it, government systems use it. Large enterprises rely on it because it's stable, reliable, and built to scale. Java is more structured than Python, which means it's not as beginner-friendly up front. You'll write several lines just to print something to the screen. But that structure is intentional. Java forces you to understand how programs are organized. It's more demanding early on, but what you learn tends to stay with you. If you want a language that builds solid fundamentals and has strong job market demand, Java is genuinely underrated. 4. TypeScript is JavaScript and with a layer of protection built in. It introduces type safety, which means it helps you catch your own mistakes before your code fails somewhere it matters. In large projects with many developers working across the same codebase, regular JavaScript can become difficult to manage quickly. TypeScript keeps things organized and easier to maintain over time. Most people learn JavaScript first, then move into TypeScript once they're working professionally. But if your goal is a career in web development, you'll almost certainly use both. 5. C# is Microsoft's primary language, and it's quietly very capable. Desktop applications, enterprise software, back-end development, and, most notably, it's the language behind Unity, one of the most widely used game engines in the world. If you've played an independent game in the last decade, there's a real chance it was built in Unity and written in C#. Developers describe C# as modern and well-considered. Similar in structure to Java, but with an interface many find more comfortable day to day. If you want to develop games, build enterprise software, or work within Microsoft's ecosystem, C# is a practical and capable choice. 6. Swift is Apple's programming language. If you want to build applications for iPhone, iPad, Mac, or Apple Watch, Swift is your primary option. Apple built Swift to replace older, less efficient languages. The result is something faster, safer, and more approachable. Actually more beginner-friendly than many languages in its category. The limitation is clear. If you're not building for Apple's platforms, you likely won't use it. It serves one ecosystem, and it serves it well. If Apple development is your goal, Swift is the answer. If not, it may not be relevant to you right now. 7. Kotlin is the language Android developers use today. Google officially supports it. Most new Android applications are written in it, and developers consistently describe it as Java, but considerably less cumbersome. Modern, concise, and built to remove the repetitive structure that made Java feel laborious. If building Android applications is your goal, Kotlin is the practical, well-supported choice. 8. Ruby dominated the startup world for a decade. Ruby on Rails powered companies like Twitter, GitHub, and Shopify in the early days. Developers describe Ruby as elegant and genuinely pleasant to write, a phrase that doesn't come up often in programming. Its popularity has declined from its peak. Still used in production, but no longer the default recommendation for web development. Worth knowing about, but as a first language in this decade, there are more practical entry points. 9. Go, also called Golang, was created by Google with one objective: build something fast and simple, with no unnecessary complexity. Back-end systems, cloud infrastructure, high-traffic servers, developer tooling. What engineers appreciate about Go is its consistency. It does what it's supposed to do, efficiently, every time. Go assumes you already understand programming fundamentals. It's probably not your first language. But once those are in place and you want to move into back-end or infrastructure work, Go is an excellent direction. 10. And finally, Rust. Rust is the language developers discuss with a kind of quiet respect. It's fast, measurably, impressively fast, and it handles memory management in a way that removes entire categories of bugs that affect other languages. It's also genuinely difficult to learn. The Rust compiler is famously precise. It will decline your code and explain in considerable detail exactly why. The experience has been described as being taught by someone who is exceptionally knowledgeable and completely unwilling to let anything slide. Developers who work through that process say it's one of the more rewarding things they've done. But for beginners, Rust is not where you start. So, which language should you actually learn? If you want the most accessible starting point, Python. If you want to build websites and web applications, JavaScript. If you want strong fundamentals and career demand, Java. If you want to build games or work in Microsoft's environment, C#. If your goal is Apple development, Swift. If your goal is Android, Kotlin. Go and Rust are worth coming back to once you have your first language genuinely understood. Here's what I'd like you to take from this. Your first language does not define your career. Programmers move between languages regularly. Once you understand one, the logic, the structure, the way problems get solved, learning the next one becomes considerably more manageable. The difficult part of learning to code isn't choosing the right language. The difficult part is simply beginning. So choose one. Build something small with it. Break it, understand why, and fix it. Because the best programming language to learn is the one you'll actually stick with. If this helped you make sense of a genuinely confusing topic, a like on the video goes a long way. And if you want clear, straightforward explanations of things in tech that feel more complicated than they should, subscribe. See you in the next one.